Welcome everybody to Severe Weather Update. Today is Tuesday, April the 2nd, and I'm doing a video because the second day in a row we have a moderate threat for severe weather, 4 out of 5 on the severe weather scale in parts of Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And the threat will begin soon. So this is not something that you'd have a whole lot of time to prepare for. Maybe by 3, 4 o'clock we're going to start to see tornadic activity and heavy storms, wind, and hail in the red area. We also have an enhanced risk of severe weather all the way through Alabama and Georgia surrounding the moderate risk, and that cannot be ignored either. So we have a very large area, 23 million in population, of at least a 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather, including tornado risk. So let's get right to it. The convective outlook is on the screen as well as in the upper left portion, which will always be there. And you can see the moderate risk covering about a 9 million population, including Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Dayton, Ohio, Lexington, Kentucky as well. So these are some very large population areas, and if a severe tornado, an F2 or greater, hits one of these larger cities, I mean, it can cause a lot of damage and a loss of life. So this is an important update. If you live in this area, be weather aware starting now. If you watch this video, in the next few hours, the storms are going to start developing and moving in. And I'll show you the current radar right now to see where they're at, as well as a composite reflectivity projection under the HRRR weather model as to when the storms will arrive in your area approximately. Looking at the day one convective outlook, I will just read what the Storm Prediction Center says. There is a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms this afternoon for the areas that you see shaded. A severe weather outbreak is possible through this evening over the Ohio Valley, with the broader severe weather risk including parts of the southeast. Strong and potentially long-track tornadoes are possible from Indiana and Ohio southward into the mid-south. A threat for strong tornadoes may focus this evening into tonight across parts of Alabama and Georgia. So I think based on what they're saying, this afternoon is going to be the largest threat in the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana area, and then the threat will shift further south as we go into the evening and later night hours into Alabama, Georgia area. Let's now take a look at the tornado risk, and I'll zoom in closer on these areas, but you can see the 15% and in the hatched area, even 10% in the hatched area means that there is a possibility of a EF2 or greater tornado within any 25 miles of a point, 10% in the yellow hatched area, 15% in the red hatched area. And most of the storm chasers will always be out if there's at least a 10%. 15% is a pretty high number. You don't usually see that. So if you live in southern Ohio, let's go back to tornado again, parts of Indiana, very southern parts of Indiana, or northern parts of Kentucky, you really need to have a tornado plan in place for today to get to a below ground basement, storm cellar, or an interior room on the first floor if you don't have one of those, away from any windows, because this is a pretty significant threat. Let's take a look closer at the severe weather outlook, and you can see the areas that are in red. The moderate risk: Louisville, Lexington, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Mansfield. Now let's look closer at the tornado outlook as it relates to Kentucky. You can see it also includes some very, very extreme southern portions of Indiana, but the yellow stretches further into Indiana. If you're in the yellow or in the red hatched area of this tornado outlook, you need to be weather aware this afternoon. But in the Indiana, in the Kentucky area, the red area covers Louisville, Bowling Green, Corbin, London, Lexington, Covington, and Prestonburg. Williamsburg is just south of the red shaded area. But again, if you're anywhere in the yellow area, you need to be weather aware for tornadoes. This is the tornado outlook we're looking at right now. Now let's look at it in terms of Ohio. It stretches to include Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Athens, and Portsmouth. So this is a pretty widespread area that has at least a 10% chance of a EF2 or greater tornado touching down within an 25-mile area. So today is definitely warranted to have a video and an update. All the storm chasers will be out and are already out today. Now let's take a look at when would we expect the storms to come. And we're going to start out here. We'll start out at 20Z. I hate the way they should just put the times on here, but 20Z is 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Let's go back one. The 19Z is 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I think we're at about 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time now. About 12:53 p.m. I think is about what time it is now. So 1 p.m. is the next. This is basically what it should look like about now. And you can see some supercells are projected to form in southern parts of Indiana at this time. And now let's just take it one step at a time. So if this is 19Z, this is 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time, we will go forward to 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Indiana and Kentucky, 5 p.m. starting to get into Ohio, 6 p.m. looks like a lot of severe weather in northern Kentucky and in Ohio, 7 p.m. Kentucky, Ohio, 8 p.m. Kentucky, Ohio, 9 p.m. it looks like it's starting to let up, 10 p.m. and you can start to see some really big cells hammering Alabama and Georgia at this time. 11 p.m. and midnight, I believe, is 05Z, approximately. I'm not too good with the change in the time between the Z and the Central Daylight Time versus Standard Time versus Eastern Time. Anyway, close enough. So you can kind of see what the projection is as to when the severe weather will be coming through your area. But it's going to start very soon, and it's going to go until at least 11 p.m. midnight in parts of Georgia. But I think the threat to the north in Ohio, Kentucky will diminish earlier in the night, maybe 8, 9 p.m. based on this projection. Let's take a quick look at the actual radar right now, and there are no tornado warnings in effect. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the Marion area. And let's continue. And you can see all the storm chasers are already ready to roll in near the Louisville area. So that must be where they suspect the first round of storms is going to come through. Right now, most of the storms are to their east. So those must not be projected to be tornado producing. Those guys know what they're doing. They always are on, they're ready for when the tornadoes are going to form. So the storms we already see to the east, Cincinnati area, Lexington, those are not likely tornadic producing storms. That's the first round. There will be more to come. And you can see this red circle on the map. That is the 15% tornado likelihood. That's what I have selected here in Radar Omega. And thanks to Radar Omega, this is an amazing app. Highly recommend it. For $5 a month, you get the desktop access as well. I think the app is free, and you can get the mobile access for free by just downloading the app. But it's fantastic, and I have it split here. As you can see, the left side is the reflectivity, the right side is velocity. So I can put on the screen at the same time both reflectivity and then velocity to see tornadic rotation. Anyway, if you live in any of these areas aforementioned, have a plan today and be weather aware, because it's going to be a pretty significant weather event, potentially an outbreak, a tornado outbreak this afternoon and this evening, all the way down into Georgia and Alabama. Thanks for tuning in, and if a tornado warning is issued for your area, get to shelter immediately. Keep an eye on NOAA weather radio, your local radio and TV and internet sources like live streamers, to keep an eye on tornado warnings very local to your specific area. Thanks for tuning in, and like this video if you don't mind, and subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate your time. Thank you.